This season, Blizzard added a brand new feature to Mythic Plus in an attempt to stop players from just leaving keys prematurely. The feature is pretty much the exact same thing that exists in games like League of Legends and Valorant, where you can type /abandon into the chat and a vote will pop up. And all of the players can vote, and as long as a majority says that they want to quit the key will abandon, and then all players will be teleported out of the dungeon, and no harm, no foul. If the players would like to continue the dungeon, they can vote no, and if a majority votes no, then you guys will continue the dungeon, and you will go until its completion. Or if the timer runs out, you are free to leave. Now, I know what you're thinking. If someone just decides to leave the dungeon, what happens to them? Well, they will be flagged as a leaver, and then everyone in the group finder will be able to see that guy leaves keys, effectively serving as some sort of punishment. And surely this would solve all abandon issues, right? Now, I'm sure every single one of you is already thinking of one of the most common issues with this. What is to stop people from just AFKing if the vote fails? And the answer right now seems to be nothing. Now, there is a report feature that you can utilize if somebody chooses to AFK or if they log out. But at least as of right now, we haven't heard of anybody actually being punished for this. And as far as report systems work in most games, people are kind of just assuming that it doesn't really do anything. Now, this isn't to say that Blizzard has never issued bans before, and this could be something where they will send out a ban wave in the future, alerting players that they are looking at this and that people are being punished for it, and maybe that will improve player behavior. But at least for right now, as far as we know, the report feature hasn't really banned anybody. And in a way, because this exists, this abandon system almost makes the game more toxic than it was before. Because the way that group content works is that if one person says the key is over, the key is basically over. Depending on where you are in the dungeon, formatting the dungeon might not actually be possible. Or even if it is possible, it's going to take so long that it's not even worth the time. And before, it was annoying because your group would wipe and somebody would leave and then you just have to go and find a new key. Your key would drop down a level. It sucked. Maybe if you were really unlucky before, somebody would say a nasty message in chat before leaving, or before you say, I don't want to play with this guy anymore, and then you leave. But now you have these same people who have already given up on the key, posted a surrender vote, it failed, and now they're just sitting at the front of the key flaming everybody else. And not only that, but because they just posted an abandoned vote and it failed, now we can't post another one for a few minutes, so we just have to sit there and listen to this. Of course, you can place that player on ignore, and you probably should, but oftentimes the act of doing that is something that people try to avoid doing immediately. Now, at least before, if somebody was acting like a shithead, I could just leave, but now, after that abandoned vote has failed, I'm stuck with them. And the worst part is, all this can occur in good faith on my end. That person might not have said anything all dungeon, maybe they posted an abandoned vote after a few deaths, I voted no, I didn't realize that guy was fuming, and now he's yelling at everybody in the group, and we are already not able to complete the key. And I am not the only one who's had this issue. Here are a couple tweets referring to this as well. People who grief your how do I say this one? People who grief your key then vote to abandon, and when it doesn't pass, continue to grief your key or refuse to participate until everyone agrees to abandon. Good shit. Blizzard, can you please make it so we have a /abandon a key as soon as it starts, because some of these tanks brick your key in 3 seconds flat. This person is involved in a little bit of drama right now, but they're not wrong. This does happen. Tanks will brick keys, DPS brick keys, anybody bricks keys in the first 3 seconds. It just happens. With the new abandon process to leave a key, you should also be able to report people who will hold you hostage in your own key. A random rag tank, me and my own key. Now, the key holder does get a little bit more say than other people. I don't actually know the exact numbers. I don't know if it's like, I don't know how many votes. There's like 6 total votes to abandon the dungeon. I don't know if you need 4 of them. I don't know if you need 3. But you need a certain amount of votes to abandon, and sometimes you do get held hostage here. Key's dead, fam. Let me abandon it. And it's a screenshot of 19 deaths in the first 5 minutes of the dungeon, first 6 minutes. This is an 11, so this key's probably not doable at this time, but maybe for a really experienced group, they could still do this. That is a lot of time off the clock, though. You can only assume if they have 19 deaths at this point in time, they probably did a big lust pull. They probably died a lot. So all their cooldowns off. Lust is on cooldown. Not looking great. And finally, this is a video, I haven't even watched this one, but this is a different issue that this guy's running into. So basically, he is trying to practice high-level keys right here. He's doing like 17s with people, and he's doing a resilient 17 hauls with his friends. And the problem that they're running into is that they are getting flagged as a deserter in their own group because they are running in, they are doing a big lust pull, they are leaving the dungeon afterwards to go and reset it, and they are getting flagged as leavers because they left the dungeon before they could abandon.
It's 2-phaser.
You have been flagged repeatedly. A deserter badge will be visible in Mythic Plus Group Finder.
Oh wait, my game is, I think I'm getting disconnected.
So this guy just got flagged. He is playing in a 5-stack right here, but he just got flagged because his 5-stack left the group. And he was outside of the group too long. He was looking at his talents. He didn't even realize that it popped up. So, or not looking at his talents, he's looking at details. But it's just like, there's so many issues with this. I wish I still had this clip, but the other thing that I wanted to comment on is that there are positive experiences that come out of this. For example, I bet that this is really good for those players that are on like the cusp of leaving a dungeon, right? Like the key is going wrong and they're like, well, we maybe can time it, but I'd rather just not. Like those players maybe before this system would have just left the key, but now they're like, okay, well, we can try to like feel this out and see how this goes. Is probably positive for those people, but I think that the big issue is that you remember the negative experiences a lot more than you're going to remember those positive ones. I can't tell you how many times this season I've had a player who like maybe popped a surrender vote and they decided to continue the dungeon. It has happened. I have completed dungeons where the surrender vote happens or the abandon vote happens and then people decide to stick it through. But I could definitely tell you about the time I was doing like a plus 10 or plus 11 gambit and the Death Knight yelled at me because I died pulling one pack in the last boss room and we definitely had time to time it. But he was so pissed off about me dying, and then he died on the last boss, and then he's like, well, I'm going to leave because I don't like this tank, and then we didn't want to leave, so then he just AFK'd, and we had the 4-man Solia at the end of the dungeon. Like, I could tell you that happened, and I really wish that I had the clip right now because it would have been so helpful, but like that experience sucked. Or I could tell you about the dungeons at the start of them where we do this massive pull and we end up wiping. We don't have bloodlust. We don't have cooldowns and we're all just kind of sitting there. Now, I do see a lot of people on Twitter also saying the exact opposite, which is like, okay, well, you guys did the first pull. Who cares? Like, quit being babies. Just do the key. I think this is just a disconnect between the people who are doing the higher keys and the people who are doing the lower keys. And there's no hate between these two parties. It's just in a 13 key or anything above that, pretty much, if you do that first pull and you guys wipe, it's pretty much over. Like, everyone's there for rating. Nobody's trying to get gear out of like a plus 13. And some of these timers on these keys can be really tight. If you're a really experienced group, then yeah, maybe you can do that. But if you are pushing a 14 to 15 for the first time, you can't afford to just wipe at the start of the key. It just doesn't work. And nobody in the group is even pissed in these scenarios. It's just kind of like, okay, we need to go next, right? What I'm proposing for this system is, first of all, they need to have some sort of actual punishment for these players who are AFKing or leaving keys. It can't just be like a little label on them in Group Finder when they're just going to go play with their friends anyway, and then it'll clear it eventually. What I would recommend is if you really want to punish these players for leaving keys, do exactly what League of Legends and Valorant do. Give them a timeout. Make it so they can't queue keys for a few minutes. Maybe at first it's 5 minutes, then it's 10 minutes, then it's 30, then it's a day, you know? The other thing that we need to do is make it so you can abandon keys after like a minute into them. Maybe not right away because people will troll with that, but like give them a minute and then yeah, if something goes wrong and you have to wait 10 seconds, who cares? But in these higher keys, this abandon system does suck. Then also have a system to like detect these players who are griefing or AFKing so that we don't have to deal with this whole like not being able to abandon thing and being held hostage. It seems like there would be very easy systems for this too. If they're a DPS player and they're doing 0 DPS in the last minute, we should be able to detect that and kick that player. After that, just issue them the punishment that we would have given them if they had just left. Or maybe even harsher because they're trying to abuse the system. If they're a healer and they haven't done any HPS for like the last 2 minutes, yeah, they're probably AFK. If they're a tank and they haven't pulled a pack in the last 2 minutes, yeah, they're probably AFK. Of course, these things aren't concrete and you could find one-off scenarios where maybe that would be okay. But, I mean, for the most part, it's going to be pretty solid. It doesn't have to be 0 damage. It could be 200k. It could be 300k. If somebody's trying to evade that system and do like a little bit of damage, set it way higher. So it's like at least they're like being beneficial to the group. They're still playing the key. If they're still having to hit mobs anyway to troll, they might as well just be actually doing the key. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Am I just being like ridiculous about the system? Is this actually an issue? I feel like for me, I've noticed some pretty annoying stuff in the last few weeks already. But maybe for you guys, this system feels awesome. Maybe you really like it. Also, let me know if you guys have any solutions for this as well.